I was wondering, can we start over? Because I jumped into this thinking I knew what I wanted to do and how to do it. But about 8 weeks in, not only did I realize that I wanted to pivot what I was doing, you, the viewers, also realized. This made me step back to think, what is it that I want to make content about? Which also immediately led me to being completely overwhelmed and frozen with analysis paralysis. Also, during this time, I had a pretty major personal realization. And that was that I was skipping one of the steps that I would never let a client skip. One of the first and most important steps, which is having an extremely clear vision on my why, how, and values, to put it broadly, behind this pursuit. Now, this was a complete accident because I thought I had all of that figured out. What I forgot to take into consideration was the fact that in the past year, everything in my life has changed, which means I've changed. And I really needed to take some time to reevaluate those things to make sure they're still aligned with who I am and what my goals are. What's changed and how that's affected me is a story for another day, which I do actually have a plan for and will be sharing, just not in this video. It will be a series of its own. But the takeaway is I've changed and I need to take those changes into consideration with my goals, my dreams, and the pursuit of this content creation and channel. I tried pushing through while still creating videos. And to be honest with you, that just led to me being extremely frustrated with every video I made. Specifically this one where I spent 30 some odd minutes explaining the tech that I use to create my videos. That's way too long. Which, by the way, I'm coming out with a shorter version of that next week. And it's also only going to focus on the tech I actually use, whereas that video goes through all of my thoughts on all the tech I've basically ever used. So, choose your path, your journey. Get the long, rambly, all my thoughts, or we can just get to what I actually use after 14 years. Anyways, what I'm trying to say in that little ramble is by not taking the time to establish what my whys and hows and values behind this content creation resulted in was me making videos I don't like, because it's not that I don't like making the tech video, it's I don't like how I made it, and it also resulted in me just feeling down, just feeling lost and imposter syndrome. Like, let's summarize it into that, feeling like, what am I doing and why am I doing this? Just not a fun feeling to have. Thankfully, during this time, I had the opportunity to completely unplug and go camping for an extended weekend, which I couldn't say no to. It was too perfect of a coincidence for me to need time to evaluate where I was at, even though I was going to absolutely miss 2 of my regularly scheduled uploads. And I have to say, it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed. I took a notebook and I just wrote. I journaled, I scripted, and I just wrote down everything that came to me. And it was perfect. And I'm laughing because I did script a little bit of this video. I'm playing with scripting word for word and bullet points. But the part that I scripted word for word, there's 2 times where I wrote it was perfect. And I just think that's funny. So that tells you how much I needed to get away. That tells you how much I needed that time to disconnect and not internalize, because I wasn't internalizing it, but get the internalizations out, which for me, the best way to do that is through a pen and paper physical journal. So that's what I did. I wrote and wrote and wrote. It started with some free writing where I just sat down, pen and paper in hand, paper and pen in hand. That's how you'd say that. Anything that came to my mind, I just wrote it down. And when random tasks came into my mind, I had a separate page where I just wrote a brain dump, as I call it, list of everything. I was like, oh, I have to do that. Oh, I have to do that. So I was able to get a lot up here, out, which is for an overthinker with OCD and ADHD, so helpful. It's one of my main, like, there's two tactics I would say to start with ADHD and OCD. Here's a little mini ramble. It's brain dump and journal. They're, for me at least, they're the most helpful tools I think out there. And just learning about yourself. That's really the first thing you should do. From the free writing and the journaling, the main takeaways from that was I know what I want. I really do. I have a very clear vision of what I want from life, which I'm extremely grateful for. And I'm even more grateful for the fact that I think I even know how to achieve those things because I'm a planner and I've been planning every aspect of everything for forever. So I know what I want. I know how to get it. The struggle is I want too much. I have too many goals and too many dreams and too many lifestyles I want to pursue. And pursuing all of those at once is just not feasible, which makes it extremely hard to focus. Because as soon as I start focusing on one thing or create a plan for one thing, my brain goes, oh, but we need a plan for this too. And we should be pursuing this as well, which is not helpful. Because if I'm focusing myself on 5 projects, that means I can only give 20% to each project. Whereas if I focus on one project at a time, I can actually, or even 2 projects, I can give 50% of a project at a time. And for me, for how I block out my time, I would be able to give 100% into a project. Anyway, what I'm saying is I have too many goals, which makes it extremely hard to focus, extremely difficult to focus. But I also want to achieve all of those goals. I don't want to get rid of any of them. I want to try them. I want to experiment. I want to enjoy all of these different things I can try in this life. But I'm finding that I'm not trying anything or pursuing any of them because I'm so frozen with wanting to pursue all of them. Talk about a Chinese finger trap in life. Real version. Pull one way, then I'm pulled the other. Focus on one thing, but what about all the other? Oh, gosh, that's a great analogy, at least in my brain. Let me know if you think that works, because I think that works really well. And that's where my free writing really came to a head, is I want to focus on one thing, but what's the one thing I want to focus on when I have so many things I want to accomplish? Because I want to do all of them. And society has somewhat gotten in my head about the fact that now that I'm 30, I have a very short, finite period of time to do all these things, which is not true. And I am extremely working on wiring in my brain because I have plenty of time to do all of these things. I have plenty of time to pursue the many hobbies and activities that I want to pursue. But once I got the majority of that out, I switched to writing about my life in the categories that I wanted to write about them in. Now, I'll be honest, it got really messy and pretty complicated. So I'm not going to try to explain that in this video, but let me know if you want me to walk you through what that looked like, because I did use some pretty well-known tactics with some of my own twist, and it helped a lot. But it's kind of chaotic. Just let me know if you want me to make a video about that. I'm not going to go over exactly what I did, but what I do want to go over is what it helped me figure out. The first thing it helped me really figure out is I don't want to niche down my channel to just content clarity. I have a lot more that I want to share, and this was really eye-opening to help me figure out all of what it is that I want to share, which is a lot. So get ready for content about content clarity still, but also be prepared for some different kind of content. I have way too many ideas and I just have to get some of them off my chest. We'll see what sticks and what doesn't. This is all an experiment, so let's have some fun. I need to find my balance of scripting and not. I like to script every word when I start scripting, but that takes a really long time, and I always tend to ramble, this line included. I scripted part of it, and now I am rambling. So I really, really want to hone in on my scripting versus bullet pointing part of planning my video. That came up a lot, that I want to figure out that specific piece of video production. The next big takeaway was that I want to make a few things to make video production easier. 2 examples, a posting checklist, like an uploads settings checklist, and also a video planning packet. So those take a little bit of effort to make now, but once I make them, every video will be easier to make because of that. So I'm struggling with that balance still. And I think I might just overwork myself for a moment to make them because I really want them. Second question for the comments, let me know if you'd like those, because I think that I would make both of those freebies, but I just want them to be super simple and help you walk through and manage what feels like thousands of details it takes to make a video for YouTube. The last major takeaway for my content creation specifically was I have to upgrade my title and thumbnail ability. I do not particularly like my titles. I don't particularly enjoy my thumbnails. My titles and thumbnails will help me so much with reach and growth and clickability, click-through rate, whatever. Now let's talk about the personal side and the main takeaways that I got from that, because we can't go over everything. I'm not even done evaluating everything. I figured out more than I can share in this video. For time's sake, more than personal, because I'm an oversharer. So there ended up being 10 categories, which ended up having at least 1 to 2 key takeaways for each category, some of them more. That's a lot to go over in this video, and that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is for us to start over, to begin again. So I'm not going to go over each of those. It boils down to, I tried so many things in my 20s, and I experimented with so many lifestyles, morning routines, habits, physical workouts, and fitness trends, things like that. There's enough that I tried that I learned a lot about myself to know what I do and don't like, and what works and what doesn't work for me to at least start with. Because as I mentioned before, in the last year, so much has changed for me. And in the next month, there is a lot more that's going to change. That I just have to get back to building that solid foundation of the things that I know work. So that's kind of the main personal takeaway. I'm going to dive back into those things that actually worked for me and re-bring them back into my life, and start with those again, because I've really let some of my habits go that were healthy, helpful, and good for me. And joyful. I've let even joyful habits go, not just the healthy ones I should be doing, but I've let go of some of the ones that I just want to do because, life breaks those habits. And the next thing you know, it's been months since you did something that brought you joy. I will be making a series about that on my channel. So you know what to do. Subscribe if that is an interesting journey to you. Now to the only thing I couldn't figure out while I was camping during all of that mind, brain planning, mapping, whatever you want to call it. This video, the first one coming back to YouTube after I've ghosted you for a little bit. I couldn't decide if I should over-explain and share why I wasn't posting or just move on and post like I hadn't skipped a beat. As I mentioned before, I'm an oversharer, so I went with the oversharing option. And now we're here. I have overshared and over-explained and said over too many times, especially in the end of this video. That's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. And that's kind of a tease as to what I plan on doing next. I'm super excited about the content that I'm about to come out with. Thank you for sticking with me through all of that. It's nice to meet you again. And I'm excited to see what these next few months, even years, bring us. So, cheers.